Have you ever had one of those moments where life suddenly hit pause and you didn't ask it to? That's what redundancy feels like. One day you're part of a team, part of a routine, part of something familiar, and the next you're holding an envelope or reading an email that says it's all over. Hi, and welcome to Gen X in Motion, the channel where we talk about work, life, and finding purpose in our 50s and beyond. I'm sharing this today, not as an outsider, but someone who's living it right now. Yes, I'm currently redundant, and if you're watching this, maybe you are too. It's not an easy word, is it? Redundant. It sounds like no longer needed, like we've expired somehow. But I've come to believe that this moment, as painful as it is, can also be an opportunity to rebuild, to rethink, and to rediscover what work really means at this stage of life. So today we're going to talk about how redundancy at 50 plus doesn't have to be an ending. It can be a pivot point, a chance to rewrite your story on your own terms. You open the email or you're called into the meeting room, and suddenly the floor shifts beneath you. Even if you saw it coming, the reality hits differently. For me, it felt like being hit by a bus, not physically, but emotionally. One moment you're part of something, and the next you're standing there thinking, what just happened? And the strange thing is, everyone else's world carries on exactly as normal, but yours stops. Your calendar empties, your routine collapses, and the days feel strangely quiet. Because when you've spent years getting up every day, turning up to work, solving problems, supporting people, making decisions, it becomes part of your rhythm. You don't even notice it happening. But the routine, the responsibility, the contribution, it weaves itself into your sense of who you are. So when it suddenly disappears, it leaves an odd kind of silence, not just in your schedule, but in yourself. Now, here's something that genuinely surprised me when I read it. The ONS found that people over 50 are much less likely to return to work quickly after redundancy. Only about 48% of us find a new role within a year, compared to over 70% of those under 50. But here's the crucial thing, that gap isn't just about skills or opportunity. It's about confidence, and not the loud motivational kind. I mean the quiet internal belief that says, I still have something to offer. The CIPD and Age UK both highlight that redundancy in your 50s can bring a deep sense of loss of identity, loss of relevance, loss of place. You don't just update your CV, you start questioning who you are without the title you've carried for decades. You wonder whether employers will still see your value, and eventually you even start wondering if you still see it. That's why the statistics look the way they do, not because we forget how to do our jobs, but because redundancy at this age shakes the foundations: confidence, identity, routine, purpose. But here's the thing, that same silence, the one that feels unbearable at first, is also space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to ask, who am I now? And who do I want to be next? Here's something that took me a long time to really absorb, and I'm still working on it. You don't lose your value when you lose your job. When you've spent 25 or 30 years in the workforce, you've built knowledge, judgment, intuition, and resilience the hard way by living it. None of that disappears just because a company restructures or realigns its strategy. You still know how to lead, how to mentor, how to solve problems, and how to stay calm when everything falls apart. That's not redundancy, that's experience capital. And it's worth far more than we often give ourselves credit for. According to the CIPD's Age and Employment Report, companies with age diverse teams are 21% more productive and have lower staff turnover. Redundancy is painful, emotionally and financially, but it can also be the release you didn't know you needed from routines that drained you, roles that didn't fit, and expectations that no longer make sense. But here's the shift that matters most: you have to see your own value before anyone else will. Because this is the moment where we stop letting job titles define us, start defining ourselves. Maybe it's not rejection, maybe it's redirection. When redundancy first hit, it threw me. I wasn't prepared, emotionally or professionally. Like most of us, I did what felt like the right thing at the time. I polished up my CV and started scrolling through the job listings. I tried to picture myself stepping into a new role, ticking all the boxes. But after a few weeks, something didn't feel right. The thought of stepping straight back into another version of what I'd just left, another full time role, same pressures, same routine, it just didn't spark anything. And that scared me. For the first time in my adult life, I realised I didn't actually know what I wanted next. That's when I stopped looking for the next job and started thinking about the next chapter. I gave myself permission to step back and really reflect. What am I actually good at? What parts of my old work did I love? Which parts drain me? And more importantly, what kind of life do I want now? This process isn't over for me, and that's okay. It's not about rushing into something just to fill the gap. It's about exploring, experimenting, and slowly discovering the direction that fits both my skills and my life. Part of why I'm making these videos is they give me space to reflect, learn some new skills, and share the journey with others going through the same thing. Even in the uncertainty, I've begun to notice small signs of movement. A new idea that grabs my attention, a conversation that hints at possibilities, a task that feels a bit more energizing than the rest. These are the small cues pointing towards the next chapter. And I've learned it's okay if progress is slow and the path unfolds gradually. Redundancy isn't a full stop, it's a comma, pause, an invitation to think differently, to act differently, and to create something that really matters to me. Now let's talk about some of the hazards because they're real. Age discrimination is still out there. A CIPD survey found that 1 in 3 job seekers over 50 felt overlooked because of their age. Often it's disguised in phrases like overqualified or too experienced. But there's financial pressure. The Department for Work and Pensions reports that 1 in 5 people aged 50 to 64 have less than 3 months' savings. So a long job search can feel really daunting. And there's the potential skill cap. Technology moves fast and it's easy to feel left behind. But that doesn't mean you can't catch up. The good news? Every one of these barriers can be managed. You can learn strategically by picking an online course or skill that moves you closer to your next step. You don't have to do everything at once. Continue to network intentionally by reaching out to former colleagues or industry contacts. Let people know the kind of work you're exploring. Often opportunities will come from a single conversation that opens a door or points you in a new direction. And stay visible, whether through volunteering, freelancing, or posting on LinkedIn. Keeping active signals energy, confidence, and engagement. And remember, employers and clients aren't just hiring skills, they're hiring stability, perspective, and calm. And we bring all three. At this stage, it's less about rushing into the next role and more about pausing to reflect. Redundancy forces us to look at our lives with fresh eyes. It's a chance to ask questions we rarely get time for. What parts of my work have truly energized me? What do I want my days to feel like now? And how can I bring my experience and skills into something meaningful for me and for others? These aren't easy questions, and the answers don't always come quickly. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's frustrating, but even in the uncertainty, there's value. Every small insight, every conversation, every experiment teaches us something about the direction that fits our life and our skills. And perhaps the most important reflection is this: redundancy isn't just a pause, it's a space to consider what really matters, to honour the experience we've built, and start shaping the next chapter intentionally, thoughtfully, and at our own pace. Redundancy over 50 can feel like an earthquake. It shakes everything. But after every earthquake comes rebuilding. And rebuilding gives you the power to decide what to keep, what to let go of, and what to create next. The truth is, the world of work is changing, but so are we. And the future doesn't just belong to the young, it belongs to the curious, the resilient, and those in motion. If you're facing redundancy right now, know this: you can navigate it. You can find ways to contribute, explore, and create a chapter that matters, even if financial realities mean you need to work sooner rather than later. It's not always about rushing blindly, it's more about moving forward thoughtfully, one step at a time, balancing practicality with possibility. And as you take those steps, however small, it's worth pausing to acknowledge what you've learned, the strengths you've built, and the resilience you've shown along the way. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this video resonated, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future discussions about career change, reinvention, and life after 50. And remember, Gen X in Motion is about moving forward together, staying curious, and making our next chapter count. I'll see you in the next video.